Slimehouse TV, myself Theo Kane, it's Tuesday and you don't know that on Tuesday we always talk about toys. Hold tight to Slime Alliance if you're watching this a little bit more in advance. And in today's episode I want to talk about something that I kind of touched on in an episode before this, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to reel it back and I'm going to do a whole episode just on this. But it's kind of off the back of the episode where I said when to walk away. So in that whole episode I talked about when there's a load of stuff that you want to buy and you make an offer and they don't go for the offer, or you think, oh, could I spend a bit more, should I, shouldn't I, and when to walk away from a deal. So I suppose today's episode is, what if you do buy that load of stuff? What if you do buy that big toy haul? What if you've got some stuff to sell and you need to take it to a toy fair? So in today's episode I'm going to talk all about how to go about setting up and going to a toy fair. Now, I'm somebody that was kind of raised on toy fairs. I used to go to the toy fair when I was a little kid with my dad when he was dealing Action Men and $6 Million Man and Tonto and Lone Ranger and Mark's figures and all this stuff. All that era of toys, Kenner Star Wars and stuff like that. Way before you would go to a toy fair and there would be a bunch of stalls selling like cool 80s and 90s action figures. This was back in the day when it was literally trains, Star Wars and Action Men. But I used to love going to the toy fair. I've got lots of fond memories of going there as a kid and running around with a bit of spending money and picking up a couple of Star Wars figures or the odd Spawn figure. Movie Maniacs were big at the time and I was really into them. So I've kind of been raised on toy fairs, but I'd not been to toy fairs for many years, up until about 6 years ago when I decided to do one to sell a load of stuff before a Japan trip. And in many ways the toy fairs are the same back then as they are now, but then in other ways they're pretty different, and not just because there's people selling a lot more of the stuff that I'm into now, the 80s and the 90s action figures. One of the main things I noticed about the toy fairs today is that there's like a real community spirit at them. People want to go, and they don't just go to sell their toys, they also go for the catch up. A lot of people don't see each other because we all live in different parts of the country, so going to like the toy fair, especially one like the NEC in Birmingham that's pretty central, is one that brings us all together. So these days toy fairs are, for some people, probably less about making money and more about the catch up and the banter and hooking up with people that they don't get to see often. All like-minded people that are all into the toy thing. And I'm not somebody that goes to the toy fairs a lot. I try and make the NEC whenever I can. I can only go when somebody can drive me there. So I have like one friend that wants to drive me to toy fairs, maybe two. I don't really get a chance to go to the toy fair as often as I'd like because I don't drive. I've failed my test like 5 times on stupid little things. It's a whole other thing. Let's not get into that. So I don't get to go to the toy fair as much as I would like, but I do love going to the toy fair. And these days I like to go to the toy fair as a buyer and not as a trader. But I have been a trader many times. So what I'm going to do in this episode is I'm going to talk about how to set up, beginning to even think about maybe setting up a toy fair stall and how you go about it, and then what is an average day at a toy fair like when you're the guy that's trading there. So an average toy fair day for me would start about 5:30 and my friend would pick me up at like 6 in the morning, and we have to get all the stuff in the car. Bear in mind, the weeks building up to this, I've been like getting all the stuff ready that I want to take to a toy fair. Now, some people do one every week, so they have a system. They have all their stuff in boxes. It's all priced. They have a list of how much stuff's worth, how much they want to sell stuff for, and they'll have it all ready just to go in the car. Some people might have a van that's dedicated to it, and they keep all the stock in the van so they don't have to load it in and out of the house or storage or wherever they keep it. But for somebody like me, and I'm presuming somebody watching this that doesn't do toy fairs all the time, you can't have all the stuff in a van all the time. It's not like your full-time business, so you have it in storage or whatever. But the weeks building up to the toy fair, I'll be researching like the current prices on things. How much did stuff sell for on eBay? How much do I want to sell it for? And bear in mind, when I go to a toy fair, I go to get rid of stuff. I go to sell it. So I'll look at what's the buy it now price on eBay, and then I will have a look at how much the sold price is, because I never go on buy it now prices. I will have a look at how much the sold price is, and then I will mark mine down a bit from that and then put it on my toy fair stall at that price. So I have to like have a big list of how much I want everything to be. And I don't like to take a load of ramble to the toy fair. Some people like to have big bins just full of like toys and action figures and loose stuff that you can rummage through. Some people just pour them out on their toy fair table, but I personally like to take a bit more like high-end stuff, and if it's not high-end stuff, stuff that I know will sell. I don't want to take a lot of stuff that I'm going to come back with. In fact, there's been lots of times at the toy fair where people have seen my stall at the start of the day, and then at the end of the day they've come to say hello to me, and they were like, fucking hell, where's all your stuff gone? You must have sold loads. And I'm like, yeah, because I came to sell it. So I always put my stuff at a nice price. I don't put it at a price that's too expensive. And I don't like paying a lot of money for toys. So I've let some real good stuff go real cheap at a toy fair just because I wanted to get rid of it. I remember like when I used to have all the Power Rangers in boxes. I had every single Power Ranger Zord pretty much. And they were all boxed. And I decided, even though I love them a lot, I'm going to sell them because I want Japan toy fair money. I pretty much only do a toy fair when I'm saving up for a big buying trip, and this was one of those times. So I sold all my Power Rangers Zords in boxes, and I let them go pretty cheap because one guy came and bought all of them off me. And I thought, you know what, I could keep taking these to toy fairs, and every time I do so, the boxes are getting a bit more bashed. I could put them all on eBay and get a better price, but then I've also got to worry about packaging them all up, getting the right size boxes, sending them off, and hoping that the people that receive them don't say that there's anything wrong with the box when it arrives, or bashed up, or want to try and blag it and say it didn't arrive and all that shit. Even though I send stuff tracked, people still do try it. So I would rather get rid of like that big stuff like that all in one go. So a toy fair is a perfect time to do that. But just going back to how the day starts of a toy fair, because I'm going on a bit of a tangent. So like I said, all that week I'll be pricing up my stuff, get it all wrapped in bubble wrap, put it all in boxes and stuff like that. Me and my friend were sending each other photos of how much stuff I've got. He's sending me how much stuff he's got, so we can kind of gauge how much this stuff's going to fit in the car. And then he'll turn up at my house at like 5:30 in the morning. We'll get all this stuff in the car and then drive to Birmingham NEC. Get ready for the toy fair. Now, the Birmingham NEC, if I remember, opens about 10 o'clock, but it opens about 8 o'clock for traders. So we get there for like 8 o'clock, get there early and start bringing all the stuff in. And you've got to park your car up and then carry boxes and bring them to the stall. And some people have sack barrows and trolleys, and they're the kind of people that do this all the time. But myself and my friend who do it now and again, we just carry the boxes. So you carry a bunch of boxes over to your stall because you get there and they give you like a stall number and things like that. And also a good way to do it at a toy fair, which is not frowned upon because everybody does it, but you pay for a table for your pitch, and then you can bring another table, like a paste table or something like that, put it on the front of your stall and double up the space that you've got. You can also go as high as you want within reason on your toy fair stall. So if you've got any like stacker shelves, things that screw together or anything like that, they're always a good idea to bring because you want to get your toy fair stall as high as possible and get as much on there so you can sell them more stuff. And it's often funny, like just traveling down to the toy fair, because there'll be me and my friend in the car and we've packed it with so much stuff because we want to get rid of a lot of things. And I remember like I've been down to the toy fair in the passenger seat with like boxes stacked on top of me with an Ewok village, a Castle Grayskull, all this stuff holding it like that because we've rammed as much stuff as we can in the car. And like I said, you get to the toy fair and you start setting it up. And then something else you can do is, which is what I do now, is you can also pay as a buyer, but you can go in early. So you pay like, I don't know, it's like £10 or something like that, maybe a bit more. And you get to go into the toy fair early. And that's a great time to get a good deal because people are just setting up at that time, so you can get a good deal before anybody else has come in at like the 10 o'clock. Buyers that are coming in, you can get a good deal before them. It's also good if you're selling, because I've been to the toy fair before and I've got like a load of boxed Star Wars things, and another dealer will come round, somebody who does this a lot more frequent than me, and he will be like, oh, how much do you want for that and that, and I'll do a deal on everything. So not only do I make a nice little wedge straight away, it also means that I've freed up toy fair stall space for other stuff that I want to put on there, because I always take more than I can put on my stall. Now, you get some people that wouldn't want to do that. Some people take their really good stuff and put it on their stall and put a stupidly high price on it because it makes their stall look good. Like if I take my Great Garloo, which I've got no intention to sell, and I put $1,000 on it and put it on my toy fair stall, I know nobody's going to buy it, but I also know that it makes my toy fair stall look good. Some people do that with toy shops. They put their best stuff behind the till and put a real high price on it because they don't ever want to sell it. They've got no intention to sell it, but like everything's got a price. So if one crazy person wanted to spend £1,000 on it, then they would sell it, but they don't really have an intention to sell it. It just makes their stall or their toy shop look good. I'm never that guy personally. When I go to a toy fair, I just want to sell this stuff. I just want to get rid of it. Like I said, I go there to sell stuff. So I ain't taking none of my own high-end stuff. I want to keep that for myself. I don't care whether my stall looks good or not. I just want to obliterate the stall so that there's nothing on there. I want to bring back as little as possible. Now, there's lots of little smaller toy fairs that pop off all around the country, but I only go to the big ones. I only go to ones that are guaranteed to have dope stuff, are guaranteed to be really busy, because I either want to have a lot of stalls to look round or I want to have a lot of people at my store buying my stuff. So I only really go to like the NEC toy fair to stand. I've been to Sandown and other toy fairs around, but the NEC is usually the one that I go to for both of those reasons. So whether I'm going as a trader, which is very rare, or if I'm going as a buyer, I want to go in early, so I pay the early bird. Either way, I want to go in when everybody else is setting up. Because also, these things get busy. Like I said, if this is like the NEC or a big toy fair, they get really busy. There's going to be hundreds of people. So if you're selling at that toy fair stall, you don't really get much time for a break. There's always people that are going to be at the stall talking to you. Obviously, we're all into toys, so we're all nattering and talking about toys back and forth. There's lots of people at the stall wanting to sell. There's other stalls around you, so there's lots of traffic in between. So you don't really get a second to think. And when I've been to a toy fair and I've been up early and I've been doing this stuff all day, like when I get home and I get in bed, I'm seeing toys toys, I'm hearing toys in my sleep, which is not rare for me. I do dream about toys a lot, but not like when I've been to a toy fair. Like, I'm going to sleep, falling asleep, and I'm seeing colourful toy boxes and people asking me questions about the toy fair stall, stuff I've got for sale and that kind of thing. So it's very much a graft. When you go to a toy fair, you're knackered. It's not like digging holes in the rain. I've done a lot of labouring jobs in my life where you're doing landscape gardening and scrap collection and breaking up metal and digging foundations for houses and all that shit. Like, that's graft. Don't get me wrong. I've got a lot of friends that are grafters, but a toy fair is like a different kind of graft because you're getting up really early, you're lugging boxes around a lot, and then you don't really get a second to think because you're talking to people all day. And then what we will do is, me and my friend, because we go together, I'll say, you watch the stall for a bit, I'm going to do a loop, I'm going to go around, look at some stalls and come back, and then he will do the same. But the thing is, when you go to a toy fair to stand, you're there to make money and you don't want to be spending money. So it's rare that when I'm there standing as a trader that I spend any real money at a toy fair, because you're there to make money. And like I said, when I do a toy fair stall, it's usually because I'm saving up money for a big buying trip. I'm not a trader, I'm not a toy seller or anything like that. But if I do a toy fair stall or stand at a toy fair, it's there to make money for a trip. So I don't want to be spending money when I'm there. When I go as a buyer, that's a completely different thing. I'm going there because I want to find dope shit. But then at the same time, very much like when I was on a recent toy hunt, the video won't have dropped yet if you're a Slime Alliance member, but if you're not, the video will be out already, I'm hoping, where I went to the Leicester toy shop, the Leicester vintage toy shop owned by Joe and Gav, and I went there and I went there to spend money, but at the same time, I'm walking in the shop knowing that like everything in here is priced at like a toy fair price. They might sort me out a bit of a deal, and they sorted me out an awesome deal, but I'm not going to I'm not going to this shop or this toy fair knowing it's like a car boot where I'm going to pick up anything that's remotely interesting. Everything's going to be priced at a toy fair standard price. So I'm not going to go mad and buy everything, but I'm going, and there's going to be one odd thing, two odd things, three odd things that I don't mind spending money on, but I'm in a different mind frame. You have to like dial your mind frame into a different vibe of toy hunting. When you're at a car boot, you're going to pick up any loose figure, anything that's remotely interesting, because it's all pretty cheap at a car boot. Generally, that's a whole different video on prices going up at car boots, but generally things at the car boot are going to be 1,000 times cheaper than they are at a toy fair. So when you're at a toy fair, you're seeing lots of awesome stuff. There's so much cool stuff at a toy fair, everything you could ever really want to see, but you're not looking at it all. You're looking for like specific things, and usually when I'm at a toy fair, other traders or other dealers, other toy people will say to me like, oh, what are you after today? Is there anything you're after in particular? And I might be like, yeah, there's a particular Playmates figure I'm after, there's a particular thing that I'm looking for, or I might be going with the mind frame of there's nothing in particular that I'm here looking for, but I'll know when I see it if I want it. And that's like when I went to the toy fair the last time and bought the big My Pet Monster footballer, because I've wanted that for ages. I didn't go with the intention to buy that thing. It didn't even cross my mind that there might be one there, but when I saw it, I knew that it had to come home with me. So when you go to a toy fair as a buyer, you have to be dial your senses into a different type of toy hunting than if you was at a car boot, because the prices are going to be like actual like toy fair trader prices. But that's not to say that you can't get a good deal at a toy fair, and it's always a good idea that no matter what people tell you the prices, you can always offer them a best price. If someone says, oh, it's 50 quid, go, will you take 35? And they go, I'll do 40. And then you go, okay, we'll do 40. And you knock yourself a tenner off. Most people, including myself, put things on their stall knowing that people are probably going to knock you down or do a bit of a deal on it. It's rare that there's anything on my stall that I'm like, no, that's the price, it's a good price, and that's what I want to sell it for. But I do also do that as well. So just to go back to what we were saying at the start, if you're wanting to do a toy fair, you can just get booked in for your local toy fair. I like to go to the NEC because it's a nice central one. And don't be afraid if you've got a load of stuff that you think you want to sell. It's usually like 60 quid to stand, and then some people also like pay for a hotel the night before. You've got to put in for petrol and things like that. So it's definitely worth taking into account how much money you think you're going to make at the toy fair. And if you're a bit unsure, maybe buddy up with someone else. Maybe ask someone else that you know, can I jump on your stall, have a few bits and swing you some money towards the stand fare and the petrol and stuff like that, so that you're playing it a bit more safe and not losing money. But I think nowadays a lot of people, like I said, go to the toy fair just for the social aspect. They go to make a bit of money, but more times they end up spending most of the money that they make there on other stuff. And it's very much a social thing now, like I said, way more than when I was a kid. And I think that's down to a lot of like internet and things like that. People have friends that they've met online, or they've got toy groups online and they like to link up, and that's their excuse and their chance to meet up with people that they don't see very often. So some people might go to the toy fair the night before before, get a hotel, go out for drinks and food before. It's awesome. I think it's a real cool thing, and it's definitely a nice community to be a part of, especially if you love toys, because everybody there loves toys. So, bit of a random one this week, but I just wanted to touch on toy fairs and stuff because it's something that I almost got into when I did the when to walk away video, like when you've bought all this stuff, how do you get rid of it? But it's something that I thought would be cool to talk about, and hopefully if you've ever thought about doing a toy fair or you've not been to a toy fair yet and you would like to go, this has spurred you on a little bit to take the leap and actually go for it. And like I said, actually standing yourself, it is a graft. You do have to get up early. There's a lot of lugging boxes about, there's lots of talking to people, and you have to have like a list of how much all your stuff you're wanting to sell it for and things like that. And when I see my friends there that are standing at toy fairs, you can see they're sometimes getting a bit stressed, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad that's not me this time. I'm glad that this time I'm just here as a buyer and not a trader. But I do trade at toy fairs, and I'm sure I will do one again at some point, probably before a big buying trip. There's loads of places that I want to go buying toys, so no doubt that in the future, the next year or so, I'll be doing a toy fair stand myself, and maybe I'll even see you there. Let me know in the comments below what your favourite toy fair is. I've only ever been to the NEC and Sandown in the last recent years, and Doncaster. I haven't been to too many, so let me know down below if there's a toy fair that you think I should be checking out that I haven't been to yet, because I love to check out new toy fairs, and every single toy fair kind of has its own vibe. Even though you see a lot of the same people there selling the same stuff, each one has its own vibe, and each one draws traders closer to it that are from that area that wouldn't necessarily be to the one that's local to you. So let me know below if there's any toy fairs that you'd like to see me check out, because I haven't checked out a toy fair that isn't NEC for many years. I used to go to loads of them. I used to go to loads of toy fairs with my dad and stuff back in the day. We went to all of them, but in the last few years it's only really been the NEC that I've been to. So I'd love to know down below if there's any that you think I should be going to, and I'll try and get down there, because I love meeting people at toy fairs. If you ever see me at a toy fair, come and say hello, we'll take a picture. I love meeting viewers of Slimehouse at toy fairs. Like, there's no better place to meet a Slimehouse viewer than at a toy fair. And like I said, there's so much of that like social element of them now, like the social meetup, that if you're not at a toy fair, it kind of feels like you're missing out on something. So I always try and get to the NEC if I can. Like I said, I don't drive. I've failed my test a bunch of times. It's a whole different thing. We're not going to get into it. But if you did enjoy this video today, don't forget to give it a like. And if this is your first time here at Slimehouse, don't forget to go back and binge the back catalogue, because there's a ton of content and videos on this channel. I'm Theo Kane. Shouts to the Slime Alliance. If you're watching this 2 weeks in advance, you can head over to patreon.com/SlimeHouseTV and you can join the Patreon. So you can either become a slime renegade for as little as $1 a month or more and help support this channel, help it grow, help it make it bigger and better than ever. Or if you want to spend a little bit more for a £5 donation or more, you can become part of the Slime Alliance and get access to these videos 2 weeks early and all other stuff. I announced on a recent video as well that when I get to 30 Slime Alliance members, I'm going to start doing an exclusive video just for the Slime Alliance. So if that sounds tempting, if that sounds like something that you want to get behind, then sign up to the Slime Alliance on Patreon now, and that's something that we can get into in the near future when we get to 30 members. In the meantime, this is Toy Talk Tuesday. I hope you've enjoyed this video today, and I will catch you in next week's video. Until then, I'm gone. Pow!